At 71 years old, John Travolta began doing something that left even his closest friends unsettled. It wasn't an announcement. It wasn't a farewell tour. It was quieter than that, more personal. He started giving things away, not random things, but pieces of his life. Watches he had worn during career-defining moments. Handwritten letters he had kept hidden for decades. Personal belongings that carried memories no one else could understand. To outsiders, it looked like generosity. To those who loved him, it felt like preparation. And then came the message. He recorded what he called a final reflection. Not dramatic, not theatrical, just honest. His voice carried the weight of someone who had seen the highest highs and survived the lowest lows. The man who once danced like gravity didn't apply to him now spoke, like someone who had learned gravity always wins in the end. Those closest to him began asking questions he refused to answer directly. Because for John Travolta, life had never been a straight line. It had been a collision of light and darkness, triumph and loss, applause and silence. And the story began long before the world ever knew his name. He was born on February 18, 1954, in Englewood, New Jersey. The youngest of 6 children, he grew up in a home where money was scarce, but imagination was everywhere. His father worked long hours to keep the family afloat, while his mother filled their small house with something far more powerful than wealth, possibility. She was an actress and teacher, and her rehearsals became John's first window into another world. He watched her transform into different characters, watched the way emotion could move through a room like electricity. Something inside him recognized that power instantly. Even as a child, he wasn't like the others. He was sensitive, observant, quiet in ways people often misunderstood. School was brutal. Kids noticed his differences immediately. His thin frame, his gentle voice, his hesitation when he spoke. They mocked him relentlessly, called him names, made him feel like he didn't belong anywhere. But pain has a strange way of creating purpose. At home, he escaped into performance. He mimicked people. He danced across the living room floor. He became someone else, someone stronger, someone fearless. And in those moments, the loneliness disappeared. His mother saw it before anyone else did. She saw that performing didn't just make him happy. It saved him. By the time he was 16, he made a decision that terrified his family. He left school, packed his belongings, and moved to New York City with nothing but belief. The city didn't welcome him with open arms. He lived in a cheap YMCA room that barely felt like shelter. He took whatever jobs he could find, washing dishes, delivering packages, anything to survive. Every dollar mattered. Every opportunity felt like it might be his last, but rejection became his teacher. Audition after audition ended in silence. Doors closed before he could even explain who he was. Nights stretched long and uncertain. Doubt crept into his mind more often than hope. Still, he refused to quit, because deep down he knew something others didn't yet see. The first real crack in the wall came slowly. Small stage roles, minor television appearances, nothing glamorous, nothing permanent, but enough to prove he was moving forward. Then everything changed. When he appeared on television as the charming, unpredictable Vinnie Barbarino, audiences fell in love with him almost overnight. He wasn't just acting. He was alive in a way people could feel through the screen. For the first time in his life, the world saw him. But fame is never as simple as it looks. The real transformation came when he stepped into a role that would redefine not only his career, but his identity. Saturday nights would never be the same again. When he took on the lead role in Saturday Night Fever, he wasn't just playing a character. He was channeling every insecurity, every dream, every ounce of hunger he had carried since childhood. Tony Manero wasn't confident because life had been easy. He was confident because he needed to be, because dancing was the only place he felt free. When Travolta stepped onto the dance floor in that now iconic white suit, the world stopped. The way he moved wasn't just choreography. It was release. It was rebellion. It was proof that transformation was possible. The film became a global phenomenon. Suddenly, he wasn't just famous. He was everywhere. Posters, magazines, television, radio. He became the symbol of an entire generation. But success didn't slow him down. It pushed him further. The following year, he stepped into another role that would cement his legacy forever, Danny Zuko in Grease. This time, he wasn't just a star. He was immortal. Audiences watched him sing, dance, and embody a character that felt timeless. His chemistry with Olivia Newton-John brought the story to life in ways no one expected. The film exploded at the box office. Travolta became the highest-paid actor in Hollywood. He had everything: fame, wealth, power, influence. But life has a way of reminding even the brightest stars that nothing lasts forever. Behind the success, heartbreak was already waiting. His mother, the woman who had given him his dream, was dying. He finished his performances while carrying grief no audience could see. He smiled for cameras while mourning privately. He continued forward because stopping felt impossible. And then came the years that tested him in ways success never could. Roles didn't land the way they once had. Opportunities slipped through his fingers. He turned down projects that would later become cultural landmarks, including the lead role in Top Gun, a decision he would quietly regret for years. Hollywood moved on faster than he expected. The industry that once celebrated him now questioned him. His career, once unstoppable, began to stall. But his personal life was about to change everything. He met the woman who would become his anchor, Kelly Preston. She understood him in ways few people ever had. She saw beyond the fame, beyond the public image, and connected with the man underneath. Together, they built something rare in Hollywood: stability. They married, built a family, created a life that felt grounded despite the chaos surrounding them. Their shared involvement in Scientology became part of their personal journey, offering structure and meaning during uncertain times. And just when it seemed like his career might fade into memory, something unexpected happened. A filmmaker saw what others had forgotten. When he appeared in Pulp Fiction, directed by Quentin Tarantino, it wasn't just a role. It was a resurrection. Travolta didn't play the character like someone trying to prove himself. He played him like someone who already knew who he was. The performance stunned audiences. Critics praised him. Fans rediscovered him. Hollywood welcomed him back. He wasn't just relevant again. He was essential. But life wasn't finished testing him. In 2009, tragedy struck with a force no parent should ever experience. His son, Jet, died suddenly at just 16 years old. The loss shattered him. Friends described the silence that followed, a kind of grief that couldn't be expressed in words. He withdrew, reflected, tried to understand something that has no explanation. For a time, the world watched him not as a star, but as a father in pain. And yet, somehow he continued, not because he wasn't broken, but because he had no other choice. Then came another blow no one could prepare for. In 2020, Kelly Preston, the woman who had stood beside him for nearly 3 decades, died after a private battle with cancer. Her death changed him. People close to him noticed it immediately. He became quieter, more reflective, less concerned with fame and more focused on meaning. He spoke openly about grief, about love, about how loss reshapes you. He wasn't pretending anymore. He was simply being human. Years passed, he continued to work, continued to show up, continued to live. But those closest to him knew something deeper had shifted. Which brings us back to now. At 71, John Travolta still flies planes, still mentors young actors, still appears in public with the same warmth that made the world fall in love with him decades ago. But he's also someone who has faced mortality more directly than most. He has buried a child, buried a spouse, buried versions of himself that no longer exist. He understands time differently now. Every moment matters more. Every memory feels heavier. When he gives something away, it isn't about letting go. It's about honoring what it meant. Because Travolta knows something many people spend their lives avoiding. Fame fades. Applause ends. But the moments that define you, the love you give, the pain you survive, the people you carry with you, those never disappear. They become part of who you are. He doesn't move like he did in 1977. He doesn't need to, because the man who once proved himself on the dance floor has already proven something far greater. He endured. He survived. He stayed. And in a world that constantly moves on, that may be the most extraordinary achievement of all.